What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Nate here from Out of the Basement, bringing you a brand new figure review. Today we are looking at the DC Multiverse Black Manta from the upcoming Aquaman movie. This also has the Collect and Connect Trench Warrior pieces in it. This is, of course, part of the new efforts from Mattel to make their DC line better. I thought this figure looked really great, so I definitely picked it up. I'm not so sure if I'm going to pick up the other figures from the wave because they look less than impressive. I think Black Manta is definitely a shining example out of the wave, but I think I might want to complete the Trench Warrior, so hopefully those pieces will show up on eBay. So let's take a look at the new packaging here. It's been a while since I've done a DC Multiverse figure. It's literally been years at this point since I've actually reviewed and purchased one. So we get this nice little graphic detail on the box. You can see it right there when I shine it in the light, and you do feel it. The package is textured, so that's pretty nice if you're into keeping things in the box. You got a nice picture of Black Manta from the movie, the DC logo, the Multiverse. It's like got a weird shape to it. You can see how it sits. We've also got a shot of Black Manta on the side. On the back here, you've got more information. There's a little bio. If you want to read it about Black Manta, you can. The other figures from the wave, which I said, I'm not too sure if I'm actually going to pick these up. And then there's the Collect and Connect Trench Warrior, which looks really good, honestly. So here's the rest of the package. On the bottom, not a whole lot going on there. On the side, another shot of Black Manta. So let's go ahead. We're going to take him out of the package. We're going to look at the accessories, and then we're going to look at the figure itself. Okay, so in terms of accessories, he doesn't come with a whole lot. He comes with the two Collect and Connect pieces and his sword. So we'll go ahead and look at the sword first, and then we'll take a closer look at the Connect and Collect. Collect and Connect, whatever the hell it's called, the Build-A-Figure. I'm just going to call it Build-A-Figure. We'll take a look at those in just a second. So here is his sword. It's just straight up black plastic with two little bits of red paint there for some nice line work, which looks very nice. It's pretty clean. Doesn't look too bad, honestly, but of course it is pretty dull. And where was that? I just saw it. And I've got a little red scuff on the actual sword itself. So yeah, pretty plain there, not a whole lot going on. Take a look at the Trench Warrior's head, which I think looks really good. The jaw is articulated as well, which is awesome. Lots of great paint detail on the actual figure itself, which looks great, especially for, I feel like a lot of this review I'm going to say especially for DC Multiverse, but I mean, seriously though, that's a lot of great paint detail that you don't see a lot from the Multiverse, so it seems like maybe Mattel's finally getting it. And then this just pops on. I had to use some serious might to get that on, but here's the rest of the look, which again, you can see all of the great details. The red mixed with the blue paint looks really good. Lots of paint on this guy, really. Nice scaly details on the body. Those are sculpted in. The fins are also pretty big, and they have nice little bits of black paint on them to give them some little accents, which again looks awesome. Like, seriously, this is a really cool piece. But like I said, the other figures are just not too desirable for me, honestly. I usually don't buy movie figures before I see a movie, but Black Manta looked so awesome that I definitely had to pick him up. So yeah, here you go. Do a little bit of articulation on what I've got. Waist twist. He's got a little bit of an ab crunch there, not too much. And then his legs presumably will move forward. So yeah, there's that. Let's go ahead and take a look at Black Manta. So here he is out of the packaging, and just take a look. Just drink that in right now. This is a DC figure in front of us right now. No ugly hips, single jointed elbows, but just overall I feel like this figure is exactly what a lot of us DC fans have been looking for from Mattel. Just a nice, solid figure with decent articulation, and here he is. So we'll take a closer look. There's not a whole lot going on with him. Obviously, his costume is mostly just black and with some accents of red. So we'll take a closer look here. You can see The red paint for the eyes is actually really clean. There's not a whole lot of bleeding or, you know, fuzzy line work around, and it also has a sort of more metallic reflective black paint around the eyes and throughout the figure. I'll point it out in some other places, but most of it is just the flat matte black paint. On top of the head though, you can see the lining of the reflective paint is pretty decent. There's a spot right here though, which I don't know if it's pretty hard to see on camera, but they missed pretty bad with the paint and it bled over. So that's a little sloppy on top of the head there, but again, I mean, he's going to be up on a shelf for me, so I'm not going to really notice the top of his head except for in the review. But yeah, sloppy paintwork right here. Missed the lines a little bit there, but that's not really the biggest deal to me. Of course, like I said, it's mostly just black plastic. There's not a whole lot of paint. He's got some nice red details right there on his ribs. And then throughout the figure, again, you can see some of the shiny black paint that accents the figure just to give it a nice little breakup. And he does have nice little sculpted details on his legs and throughout the armor. The armor looks really good. The sculpt work is very nice. It definitely looks like body armor, and the tubing is also a nice added detail. You can see on his arms here, again, not a whole lot of paint, and he does have this little sword sticking out, which looks awesome. You can't take it off, it's stuck there, and he also doesn't come with alternate hands, so you're stuck with this whole bit right there, but I think that honestly looks really cool. So yeah, there's just a lot of really nice sculpting on here, a lot of nice details. Could have used some more paint maybe. These parts right here look like they should have some paint on them, but they just didn't get around to that because it was the back of the figure. But yeah, I mean, look at all this sculpt work. This is really nice, especially for a DC figure. And you've got nice red paint coming up the back here, which looks pretty good. And you've got his little jets right here, which actually are articulated, which surprised me. So you can pose those up in a bunch of different directions. And again, the sculpting is there. But yeah, not a whole lot of paint, but the sculpted detail is really, really nice. So in terms of articulation, let's see how he goes here. We all know how the articulation on DC Multiverse used to be. His head is on a ball, so you just get, you know, you can get decent movement there, but it moves down a little bit and moves up just a little bit. So not too much up and down, but you do get a decent amount of side to side, and you can get him in pretty expressive head tilts if that's what you would like. The shoulders do move out very far, which I think that's awesome. Total range right there, and of course his arms can move all the way around except for this one. This one is tubed in, so you want to be careful with that because you don't want to break the tubing. You do still get a lot of range out of the arm with the tube, which is nice that they gave it enough to where there's some slack there. But obviously if you overextend it, I'm sure it'll pop right out. Like I mentioned earlier, single jointed elbows, they get the job done. They're not great, but this is a huge leap for Mattel, honestly. So if we have to wait a little bit longer for double jointed elbows, that's fine, I guess. That's fine. He does have a wrist hinge, which works pretty well, and of course twists all the way around, no problems there. Does have a bicep swivel too, so he can move, rotate all around, no problems there. He does have an ab crunch, which works all right. You can get that far forward, which is not much at all, and then that far back. So the ab crunch is there, but again, it's not really that impressive. But still, I'm just so happy with the sculpt work on this figure. It's a really nice looking design for Black Manta as well. I like the movie design a lot for this character. So of course his legs can kick out. They go about straight out, which is alright, you know, maybe could be a little bit better. And they do, I mean, he can do the splits, no problem there. But look at that, no ugly old DC Multiverse hips right there. We've got modern action figure hips, which work really well, and you can kind of see that, you know, his legs have been cut out so he can do the splits. I don't know if that's necessarily the design of the figure, but it just looks like that this was like cut out so you could still get those splits, which I don't know why you'd want Black Manta to be doing the splits, but hey, who knows. He does have a thigh swivel right here, and he does have double jointed knees, and they work all right. I don't think that's, you know, it's not a full range. This piece right here on the back of his leg definitely gets in the way, but that's about what you get out of it. Could be worse, could be better though, but the design of the figure I think definitely inhibits that articulation, so I would rather have an accurate design over super crazy articulation. And look at this. Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready? Oh, it's not the best. It's not the best, but look at that. There is ankle pivot on a DC Multiverse figure. Hallelujah. I know there was some ones before this that had ankle pivot, but if anything, that was my biggest complaint for all of DC Multiverse, was the lack of ankle pivot. Just really bothered me, because a lot of times, you know, you need that ankle pivot to hit those nice action poses. So there he is overall. A great looking figure, simple design, really nice, aesthetically pleasing. So we're going to compare him to a couple other lines of figures so you can get a sense of scale for him. Alright, we're going to start out with, from DC Direct, this is the New 52 Aquaman, which is a nice figure. Mostly, more so a statue than anything else. But when you look back, let me pull the camera up just a little bit, I honestly don't think that's too bad. I think that he scales really well with that Aquaman. I feel like maybe Black Manta should be a little bit taller, but I think you could fudge it and he looks alright, especially if you know, set up some action poses to kind of account for some shortcomings. I think he could turn out and look pretty well, but that's not too bad of a scale right there. And then we've got the DC Icons Swamp Thing right here, which of course we all knew that the Multiverse figures were going to be completely out of scale with Icons. Icons are much smaller, but they also have a lot more detail and a lot more articulation. And then we'll do another DC Multiverse figure, and this is the Dark Knight Returns Superman, which again, I feel like Superman should maybe be a little bit taller, but these are the only DC Multiverse figures I have, are the Dark Knight Returns line, which are stylized and they look like comic book characters, so of course they're gonna look really different from each other, but not too bad in terms of scale. And then finally, just because I know you guys out there love to mix and match your lines together, which is fine, I'm not personally a fan, but you know, hey, you do you. We've got the one, the only Pizza Spider-Man. So there you go, there's Pizza Spider-Man right next up to Black Manta, and you can see that Black Manta is actually a little bit taller than Pizza Spider-Man. And you know, I'm down with this scale. If you want to have Black Manta versus Pizza Spider-Man, I think that could look pretty good. I imagine in my mind that Black Manta is a pretty tall character, so that's why I'm thinking that, you know, he should be a little bit taller, but again, I don't have the other movie line figures to compare him to, so that's what you get. So overall, I think this figure is a massive improvement over previous efforts from the Multiverse line. We're still not 100% there, but I think in time, and the figures that are upcoming are definitely going to show us what DC or what Mattel can do in terms of action figures, now that they've realized that collectors have pretty much had enough of their bullshit and they need to start making decent figures or their line is going to go down. Really excited to see how the upcoming Green Lantern and Batman Beyond figures are. I'll definitely be picking those up in the future. That whole Lobo wave really does look awesome. I'm pretty tempted to pick up the entire wave for that, but like I said, movie line stuff, I usually don't buy anything from it until I see the movie itself. But Black Manta's design is awesome, and I got this figure on Big Bad Toy Store because I was afraid I wasn't going to run into him in the wild, because everyone online seems to be having a heart attack over this guy and picking him up. Then, of course, I ran into it in the store a couple days after I had placed my order, so you know how that works. But yeah, overall, I definitely recommend this figure. I think he is well worth the full price. He's a little loose. He's a little bobbleheady right there with his entire upper body, but I mean, I'm really impressed with this figure, especially from the DC Multiverse line. So if you can find it, definitely pick it up. I would say that it's just a great looking figure. It's going to look good on your shelf. It scales well with a lot of the other common lines, including Marvel Legends. So I know some of you mix and matchers are definitely going to be happy about that. So what do you guys think of this new Black Manta figure? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you think Mattel should just throw in the towel and let someone else have a decent crack at 6-inch mass retail DC figures? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. Of course, if you enjoyed this review, don't forget to leave a like on the video. Subscribe if you are new. Ring the bell for notifications. I'm Nate from Out of the Basement. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.